Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
The target was a gang. It was called the Murdaland Mafia Pirus, or MMP. Members operated in northwest Baltimore City and neighboring county neighborhoods. So Windsor Mill, Gwen Oak, Howard Park, and Woodlawn, and Liberty Heights. That entire area lived in fear, authorities say. MMP ran drugs, they ran guns, they laundered money at Maryland casinos, and the feds have pegged 5 non-fatal shootings and homicides on the group, but think they might be responsible for at least a dozen more.
A 40-year-old Windsor Mill man who was the leader of a Maryland gang was sentenced on Tuesday to life in prison for murder and racketeering. Dante Bailey, also known as Gutta, Almighty, and Wolf, was the leader of the Murdaland Mafia Puru gang, a subset of the Blood, according to officials. He and 3 others were convicted in April after a 6-week trial. In total, 25 people were convicted in this case, all but one of whom have now been sentenced.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. And we on our way to Maryland with it. Baltimore. West Baltimore. Is that how they say it? Yeah, it's been a minute since we've been here, but we back. Y'all niggas get in the comment box, y'all. Let everybody know what's going on around here. We already know real GGG shit. Now, we are going to be covering an organization by the name of MMP, or the Murdaland Mafia Pirus gang. But we also going to spend an extensive time talking about a guy by the name of Dante Gutta Almighty Bailey, or Wolf, or the Dawn. But the story is going to span from right around 2015 to 2017. We're going to try to dig a little bit deeper than that with some slight facts or some stuff that was mentioned from an indictment. But really, like I said, we're going to kind of like let's start at 2016 for right now. And we're going to start at a Shutdown BP gas station that is or was located on the 5200 block of Windsor Mill Road. Now, this gas station was shut down in 2016 with the controversial law not used in the city of Baltimore in years, where the city alleged that the store owners condoned crime and the government confiscated it. Actually, the government also considered that place the gang's headquarters, and operating in that location gave the gang the nickname the 5200 Boys. They said it gave them easy access to I-70, which is interstate traveling through Baltimore, and new customers. So now we're going to swing back to right around 2015, and that's going to be when the authorities allege that a guy by the name of Dontre Johnson, who the government alleged or claimed to be one of the shooters from the gang, shot and killed 29-year-old Brian Johnson on September 29th, 2015. They also say he killed another fellow MMP gang member, 23-year-old Antoine Poppy Ellis, on the orders of Dante Bailey, according to a wiretapped conversation in their second superseding indictment that was unsealed in June of 2017. Bailey stated, "I told you about this. Blow a fucking head off. Blow another head off. I said I'm through. Don't play with them. Make them scared." Allegedly, after Dontre Johnson visited Dante Bailey about killing Johnson for refusing to pay gang dues, Bailey approved of that killing. Now, according to the second superseding indictment, Bailey himself shot James Maurice Bangout Edwards, a subordinate in the gang on the 300 block of Collins Avenue on February 12, 2015. The indictment also alleged that Bailey and a guy by the name of Jamal Lockley killed Anthony Horns, a 35-year-old guy, on April 28th in 2016 because they believed, however incorrectly, that Horn was responsible for the murder of a fellow MMP member by the name of Maurice Mookie Bram. The indictment also says that Bailey ordered the murder of a guy by the name of Ricardo Johnson, a 40-year-old African-American who was found dead in the back of his minivan in Westport, and that was on August 10th in 2016. Now, according to the feds, they're going to say a guy by the name of Sidney Frazier and at least another co-conspirator abducted, bound, and murdered Johnson. Then they proceeded to try to burn the body. Later that same day, Frazier fled from the police, flinging 2 handguns from his vehicle, the indictment alleges. A Baltimore police spokesman also said that the department only cleared that homicide by the arrest of Frazier. Now, when their federal indictment was announced, the ATF agent in charge stated that federal grand juries had in the past 17 days indicted 51 people responsible for 25 murders and 36 non-fatal shootings. Now, according to the Baltimore Sun, their indictment and related plea deals open a window into Baltimore's crime wave. One member of the gang, a guy by the name of Melvin Menace Lashley, allegedly bragged about assaulting Bobby Smurder, who everybody know is right now incarcerated, serving a 7-year sentence, soon to come home, actually, but is a Brooklyn-based rapper that's associated with a rival Crip gang, and that was mentioned in their indictment. He ended up pleading guilty due to this indictment on May 23rd of 2017. Now, the indictment also alleges that in 2015, Bailey formed the Black Blood Brotherhood, an alliance with other gangs, mainly the Black Guerrilla family, as a efficient market for contract killings. The feds allege that, for instance, if a BGF leader wanted somebody killed, he might pay Bailey to subcontract that murder to a subordinate of the MMP or vice versa. Now, by contracting out murders to members of the gang, Bailey and other gang leaders made it more difficult for law enforcement to solve those murders and to apprehend those that was responsible for those murders. One day in 2015, the federal government is going to say that Bailey and a guy by the name of Dominic Fish Kane was with another associate at the headquarters, the BP gas station that ended up being shut down in 2016, when they tried to murder another man and ended up in a shootout. So they were saying Bailey was speaking to a guy. In the indictment, he was called an unindicted co-conspirator. So the indictment claims that Bailey was speaking to him, and a guy only identified in the indictment as LS, while he was speaking to him while Fish Kane and other crew members snuck up on LS' vehicle and shot him several times. But LS had some dudes with him, apparently, and they pulled up on the scene, and they started shooting, and they ended up hitting a guy by the name of Maurice Pollock and Brian Johnson, who was killed by Dontre Johnson back in September of that year. The government would allege that gang members talked about the shootouts on wiretap phones. The indictments say they weren't really careful on social media, uploading pictures and videos. The federal government used those as evidence. On July 29, 2015, Bailey was arrested and held without bond in a Baltimore County jail. He was charged with drug dealing. They said he stayed inside the jail up until the spring of 2016. And then the Fed said that he was pretty much in there recruiting new members. And the indictment claims that the federal government seized some kind of paperwork from one of Bailey's underlings and it pretty much broke down the gang structure, saying that it was 25% Pirus Bloods, 75% Mafia, which he called and labeled that 75% their bloodline. And in that paperwork, they would say that Bailey would kind of go on and state the gang's history, stating that it began with the creation on March the 2nd, 2009, when he linked up with a guy named Bad Guy, who was a triple OG of TTP, and they pretty much try to separate the real niggas from the fake ones. Now, it's said in 2010, Bad Guy and Bailey reunited in USP Lee County, and they pretty much put the structure together of the mob, and they gonna say, according to themselves, that they made history together for the mob by smashing the New York and the New Jersey blood sets that was in USP Lee, sending a message out to the Bloods on the East Coast that them, the Murdaland Mafia, run Murdaland. Now, the comrade that Bailey got into the shootout would die only 3 weeks after he was released on April 4th, 2016. Now, we spoke about him a little bit earlier. He was a guy by the name of Maurice Mookie Bram. He died at 738 on the 4700 block of Glen Oak Avenue. Now, at his funeral, which was on May 9th, the gang draped a red M&P banner over his casket. And after his viewing, they said that Bailey hung a diamond-studded necklace bearing the letter M around his neck. Now, Bailey would end up being arrested and charged with racketeering and sentenced to life. The federal government arrested him on May 17th, and in addition to having 94 grams of heroin for sale, they said Bailey had an autobiographical screenplay featuring members of the M&P gang, and they were pretty much describing acts of violence very similar to the ones that the M&P members were known to have carried out in the city of Baltimore. Looks like the gang was real heavy on discipline and retaliation. According to the federal government, they claimed that they found an undated letter that Bailey wrote to one of his associates, and it warns him. The associate was pretty much not named, but they said that he failed to follow protocol and that Bailey would be watching him for 90 days to make sure that he staffs up his crew with the required underboss, capo, and lieutenant, and he needs to make sure that he kisses their cheek to signify that they each are made men. And the postscript to the letter, according to the indictment, Bailey wrote, "Fuck this case. No matter what happens, I'll still be a legend." Now, everybody from Baltimore, if y'all remember this case, y'all get in the comment box. It's your boy Popalot. I'm going to be back with more real trill spill shit. Y'all follow me on Instagram, Twitter. Let me know who I need to cover. POP_A_LOT. Y'all get in the comment box below. Let me know who I need to cover, who we miss in Baltimore, what cities we ain't tapped down in yet. And y'all stay tuned. Hit that notification bell. Look out for the next one. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb, ties.